Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 410. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. If y'all were watching me on the morning brief, I'm a lot calmer than I was during that, okay? It's supposed to be a morning brief, not the JP8 Report, but I try to calm down as much as I can, and let's just do this and have some fun with it. Thank y'all very much for tuning in this morning. So as we get started, if you're not already a follower of the JP8 Report, you'll see that little bell on the menu bar. Click that bell, scroll down, you'll see follow. Click that follow button for me, and then give me a like, that thumbs up, and then we have the chat room available, live chat. Not many people engage on the live chat, but hey, it's there. We appreciate it. Covite for life, he comes under sometimes. So does retired Rob. And I wish they were on there this morning. They may have a medical appointment or something. All right, but that's all right. We'll do it without them. But thank y'all very much for being a part of this with us today. And let's go with America 250. Man, we are getting so close to the American Revolution. To the Declaration of Independence. So, this is one of the things, this is one of the greatest resolutions that came out before the Declaration. It was by Richard Henry Lee, and this is his resolution and it came out June 7th, which was yesterday, 1776. Resolved that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved. That it is expedient forthwith to make the most effectual measures for forming foreign alliances, that a plan of confederation be prepared and transmitted to the respective colonies for the consideration and approbation. That was the Lee resolution on yesterday, 250 years ago. There we go. States instead of colonies, states. All right. The armament shop, whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the armament shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearms in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, and visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. All right. And get that set. All right. So, hold on just a second. I have to refresh. I'm not seeing my video. All right. I'm back. All right. So, Iran update. So, I got a couple things to read also along with the update. All right. So, we have the Iran update. The Houthis attacked Israel. Israel strikes Beirut and twice at Iran. Iran's retaliated against Israel. Man, it sounds like a schoolyard fighting. The U.S. is warning citizens in Jordan to take cover. Iran warns that U.S. bases are legitimate targets. Trump says Israel has no choice but to accept the U.S.-Iranian peace deal when and if it's finally approved. Israel closes all Gaza crossings. Tehran's airport suspends all flights. And Trump says Iran's spiritual leader is more rational than the previous one. All right. And then Brent crude oil actually went down from when I was on the air earlier this morning. It was, I'll tell you real quick. This morning I wrote down 97.22. Right now it's 94.22. Maybe that's because the president told them to stop and Iran said, we stopped. Okay. West Texas Intermediate this morning was 94.50, and right now is at 91.39 a barrel. And the stock market is down 695.15 points, and it closed Friday at 50,866.78. It opens for trading in 25 minutes. So hopefully it goes back up. All right. So 3 articles about the Iran update. The first, Israel launched airstrikes on sites it described as Hezbollah command centers in Beirut's southern suburbs on Sunday, hours after Israeli officials said Hezbollah fired rockets into northern Israel. Hezbollah did not immediately claim responsibility. And the escalation came days after the U.S., and Israel, and Lebanon announced a renewed conditional ceasefire framework requiring Hezbollah to halt fire and withdrawal from parts of southern Lebanon. It also followed the release of IDF footage that Israel said showed troops dismantling a Hezbollah explosive factory, where an outside expert said components appeared consistent with anti-personnel shrapnel devices designed to wound or kill people on foot, i.e. IEDs. The strikes mark a major cross-border escalation days after U.S., Israel, and Lebanon announced a renewed conditional ceasefire network requiring Hezbollah to halt fire and withdraw from parts of southern Lebanon. And Bibi announced that the military action was the direct retaliation for the group's violation earlier in the day. Concurrently, footage released by the IDF showed troops locating and dismantling a hidden, booby-trapped explosive warehouse. The multi-purpose assembly hub appeared to contain materials that could be used in a makeshift shrapnel and propane tanks to create a distributed lethal network, i.e. nail bombs. That's what they were talking about. All right. Next, Iran. This just came out just a few minutes before 7 o'clock. Okay, 7 a.m. So Iran's Qatam al-Nibi military headquarters announced the end of hostilities against Israel on Monday, just minutes after President Trump demanded a ceasefire. Iran's military said the ceasefire is conditional on Israel also halting its attacks, however, vowing to renew severe and crushing operations if attacks continue. Following the aggressions and evils of the brutal Zionist regime in southern Lebanon and the Dahala region, which took place with the support of criminal America, the powerful armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran gave a painful response to this regime in order to support the oppressed people of Lebanon, the military wrote in a statement. On this basis, the cessation of armed forces operations is announced, but it is emphasized that if the aggressions and evils continue, including in the South Lebanon, the more and more severe and crushing measures will be on the way. It continued. Dude, you're running out of missiles. Keep your national stockpile for defense. Oh, wow. They're going to be throwing sticks and stones pretty soon, guys. All right. And then, so Israel struck, and this is the third article, Israel struck several military targets in Iran on Sunday, hours after the Islamic Republic launched a barrage of missiles at Jewish sites. The IDF said its air forces struck targets belonging to the Iranian terror regime. See how they go back and forth and call themselves the evil empire and stuff? Man, in western and central Iran, Iran state media separately reported the explosions could be heard in Tehran, Tabriz, and Isfahan after Israel launched air-launched ballistic missiles, citing the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Israeli military hit Iranian surface-to-surface missile launch sites and non-energy infrastructure. Israel's ambassador to the U.S., JP8, said. Nearly 2 hours later, the Israeli Air Force said it was intercepting a missile from the direction of Yemen toward Israel territory. The missile hasn't been launched. A missile hasn't been launched from Yemen since April 4th, just days after the Pakistan brokered ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran went into effect. Earlier, Iran fired at least 10 missiles at Israel, all of which were intercepted. Israel officials have claimed responsibility and asserted the attack was in response to Israel's bombardment of Lebanon that morning. And Israel's strike violated the delicate ceasefire with Lebanon. Both countries agreed. The U.S. brokered a ceasefire last week, but Iran-backed terrorist group Hezbollah has rejected it. President Trump said he would confer with Bibi out of conducting a retaliatory Iranian strike, and he's still the one calling the shots. He won't have any choice, Trump said. Israel, however, insisted it's maintaining its military presence in Lebanon despite U.S. officials' demand for de-escalation. We'll see. All right? So that's all your update you're going to get about Iran right now. I'm sure there's going to be a whole slew of news reports come out. And probably the vast majority of them are against the United States if you want to listen to the lamestream media, right? All right. So onward over toward what do you call this? California. So since I don't have graphics, California is the place not to be. So you load your family up, and if you're Republican, you move to Texas, and if you're Democrat, you move to Colorado or New Mexico. Okay, we'll add New Mexico to it. All right. So the California governor's race showed Javier Becerra in first place with 27.2, Steve Hilton at 25.9, and Tom Steyer at 21.5. And that's with 72.2% of the reporting of the vote. Over here in Los Angeles, it's more disparaging. Karen Bass has 34.7%. I can't even pronounce her first name. I apologize for that. Nithya Raman, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name, though. Nithya Raman is at 27.1, and Spencer Pratt is at 26.7, and that's with 83.2% of the vote. And if you notice, Pratt and Raman both switched spots on the results because there was an over 10,600 vote swing yesterday in that election. Yeah, I said that right. Between Pratt and Rahman, the vote was a difference of 10,604, I believe. That's all right. There's more coming out about that in the end, but that's 83.2% actual reporting. So first article. What are we doing on time? 8:15. We got plenty of time today. All right. Don't forget to click the little bell, and then click the follow, and then click that like button for me. Okay, for the podcast. Nithya Raman has overtaken Spencer Pratt for the first time in the race for second place in the Los Angeles mayoral race. New results released by LA County shows Raman with 27.12 and Pratt with 26.69. That's when they wrote this one, right? NBC is showing a little bit of a difference. But that's 196,198 votes compared to 193 and 85 votes. The latest tally gives Raman a 3,113 vote lead after she trailed Pratt at 7,494 votes just one day earlier. Raman picked up 19,096 votes on Sunday, more than doubles Pratt's gain of 8,489. The latest batch of ballots produced a 10,607 vote swing between the two candidates, erasing Pratt's advantage and moving Raman into second place. Just like what we were saying earlier, what I was saying earlier, you have in the last election 4 years ago, Karen Bass, she was trailing by like 3,500 votes before the last ballot drop. And then when they had that the next morning, they had this next ballot drop, and all of a sudden she was ahead by 3,500 votes. So it's like a 7,000 point swing in the direction of her. It feels like the fix is in, that they just want to lock out the Republicans so they ensure that they keep a Democrat in charge in the city of Los Angeles, because they haven't had a Republican since the early 1990s in LA. All right, the additional ballots have been counted over the past week, and Raman has steadily narrowed the gap before finally moving ahead Sunday. Pratt dropped a snarky dig at Raman's homeless record after the ballots dropped, citing a homeless report showing 43,000 people are homeless in LA at any given night in 2025. He said a net swing of more than 43,000 votes since Tuesday. 43,000? Huh? What? Have I seen that number before? Probably nothing. He's right, too. You have to wait. And there's an article I may get to, I may not. There's a decision pending before the Supreme Court that deal with voter rolls and with mail-in ballots. The fact is, can Election Day, that's why I have this California Election Day +6, because it's right. They're still able to receive ballots all the way through tomorrow evening. And then they have like another 7 days to cure the ballot and count the ballot after that. It's unbelievable, right? And that 83% I gave you on reported, that's arbitrary, because it could be greater than that. It depends on if they came up with more ballots or something. All right. So the U.S. Attorney in the Central District of California, just saw him on TV a little while ago. He says multiple fraud investigations underway related to the investigation. The U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California said Friday that his office has multiple fraud investigations underway in coordination with the FBI. The prosecutor, Bill Essayli, also said the announcement that he's working with Harmit Dillon. That's a lady you never want to cross in the DOJ. She's the Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division to conduct a comprehensive audit on the state's voters' rolls. Essayli didn't comment on a specific investigation, but said he would follow the evidence wherever it leads and prosecute any violations of federal law to the fullest extent. The state has stonewalled every effort to verify that only eligible U.S. citizens are registered to vote, Essayli said on X. Essayli referred to a case in which Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong, 64, took a plea deal to one felony count of paying another person to register to vote in a federal election. Prosecutors said she paid homeless people on Skid Row to register to vote, letting them use her address to register in some cases. This allowed mail-in ballots to be sent to her home, according to the plea agreement. The scheme allegedly went on for 20 years. Essayli told the Post that a lot of fraud could have been prevented if the state shared the voter rolls with his office. And the lawsuit over the state's refusal to share the rolls is before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. California went to the polls on Tuesday to cast ballots and we're still waiting for them to finish counting ballots, which is crazy. All right, so we're going to go to the other side of the United States, all the way to the place where I went to basic training 40 years ago, New Jersey. Non-citizens in a key blue state were on the voter rolls for years, and some even voted in prior elections according to documents obtained by public records request. New Jersey Republican Party and the Republican National Committee requested voter rolls from all 21 counties in the Garden State and found multiple instances of non-citizens seeking naturalization, asking to be removed from the rolls, claiming they were unknowingly registered to vote, most of them as Democrats. Non-citizens in state non-citizens cannot vote in state or federal elections, and the candidates for citizenship worried that being on the rolls would disqualify them. It sure would. In official letters reviewed by Fox News from Atlantic County Superintendent Board of Elections and Commissioner of Registration, Maureen Budgeon, certified that non-citizens came to her asking to be removed. Why were they on there in the first place, right? Please allow this letter to confirm that on today's date, the below referenced individual came before this office, confirmed her registration and voter status. Ooh, killed an app. Good. Does not understand how she became registered through the Department of Motor Vehicles, allegedly. Most of the letters informed that the non-citizens did not have a voting record, but not all. One non-citizen, who the county said was removed from the rolls in 2015, voted several times in 2000, 2001, 2008, and another voted in a primary in 2005 and a municipal election in 2000. A letter showing Atlantic County Election Commissioner Maureen Budgeon certified that New Jersey non-citizen was on the voter rolls and wished to be removed. Other documents showed non-citizens directly asking to be removed from the voter rolls through a state voter registration cancellation form. and I got copies here, but I just didn't put it on for the podcast. Okay. Uh, let's see. When prompted to ask why they wish to be removed, a vast majority of the unknowingly registered voters checked the box labeled "Other" and wrote that they were not citizens. In Atlantic County alone, Fox News found more than 50 documents where, from non-citizens attested they were registered to vote unknowingly. So who was registering them to vote? That's a very good question. RNC Joe Gruder says the group found hundreds of non-citizen registrants in New Jersey who are likely only the tip of the iceberg, but that New Jersey and other Democrat-run states are unwilling to disclose information about their voter registration list maintenance process, and the organization has requested that information from 48 other states. There should be no reason why a non-citizen is on a voter roll at all. And they said they did not know. Did someone take their DMV for them to get their driver's license and arbitrarily just check those blocks to get them to register to vote? I mean, the vast majority of them didn't go vote, which is good, but they were registered to vote in elections, right? Maybe they knew the law, and when they found out, they went and said, "Hey, I'm trying to become a citizen. I can't be registered to vote. I don't want this to affect me, take me off the voter roll." That'd be great if that happened. I mean, we'll see about that. If you got caught actually voting, that's a different story, which they showed 5 or 6 different instances. One is too many, right? Like just because, hold on. Now, I say that because tomorrow we have 2 runoff elections for mayor and city council seats in here in Bell County, right? Harker Heights, you have for the mayor, that wasn't even close, but he had less. Mike Bloomquist, who I am supporting, came less than 50% to get reelected, right? But over in Morgan's Point, they had 5 candidates for city council, and they did like a jungle election, right? Top 3 get in. I think it was, yeah, it's top 3 get in, but I think they had 5 people on the ballot. Well, 1 and 2 were no problem. Position 3 was tied at 133 votes apiece, so they had to go into runoff for them two to find out who's going to be on there. But one of them had 134th vote is a provisional ballot of someone that voted too early because she had just moved into the area on the 20th of April and election day was on May 2nd. Go figure, right? Screwed it all up. But they canceled that ballot out. They canceled out the ballot before they found out the vote was going to be for this other lady. But it was that they're tied at 133. Every vote counts, right? So tomorrow's election day. You got to make sure you're eligible to vote and you go out and vote. All right. Quickly on this part right here. It's already 8:30. Wow. All right. So for a faster vote count in California, because California election day +6 is way too long. Tomorrow's the deadline for any mail-in ballot to be accepted to be able to be counted, right? So we're not going to get past California +7, are we? I guess. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe. Hold it. All right. So it says here, this is an opinion from John Fleischman at the New York Post. And he's writing, the only way you're going to solve this mess in California is to get a positive ruling from the Supreme Court that we're waiting for. The next batch of announcements come out on the 11th of June, right? So it's just a waiting date. If it's not then, it'll be the next week. there's like 26 opinions still scheduled to be released by the end of the month. Okay, just so you're tracking. It says here, look at Los Angeles. Saturday's batch of 58,558 late counted votes in the mayor's race broke 42% for Rahman, 33% for Bass, and 17% for Pratt. No doubt a reflection of state voting Democrats in a city. Only 16% of the voters were registered Republicans, which means he already broke a record anyway. He's pulling independents and Democrats. Pratt's lead for second place has been slashed to just 74-94. What did I? Okay, this didn't get did not get updated. That's not a theoretical. Let's see. Pratt's lead for second runoff spot has been slashed to just 74-94 with an estimated 150,000 ballots left outstanding and potentially more arriving with a June 2nd postmark. That's not a theoretical debate about election law. That is a live campaign being reshaped after Election Day. The election was last Tuesday, yet California voters spend much of the time next week, and in some contests longer, waiting for ballots to arrive, be transferred, verified, and counted. It leaves voters confused, campaigns stalled, and candidates stuck in limbo when they should be out preparing for the next stage of the race. This has become normal here. It should not be. Elections are supposed to have a finish line. California has built a system where the election day often marks the beginning of the final round of a counting period, not the moment when the public can expect the result. But California's endless election calendar may soon collide with federal law. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to release more opinions this month as it finishes its term. One pending case could fundamentally alter how California handles votes by mail. California law allows votes by mail ballots to arrive up to 7 days after Election Day and still be counted as long as they are postmarked on time. The state has also built in other delays. A voter can return a ballot to any county in California, no matter where the voter is registered, meaning an Orange County ballot dropped in San Francisco must be forwarded before it can be counted. Several days after California voted, state officials reported more than 3.6 million ballots still maintained to be processed and counted statewide. This is not a system to be designed to bring contests to a swift conclusion. It is a system designed to maximize flexibility even at the cost of certainty. Sacramento calls it access. Many voters call it endless counting. The case before the Supreme Court is Watson versus RNC. The question is direct. When Congress established a national election day for federal elections, did it mean ballots must be received by Election Day or merely mailed by Election Day? During oral arguments, Justice Alito warned that confidence in election outcomes can be seriously undermined, when the apparent result on election night is later flipped by a larger batch on a late arriving basis, which is exactly true. This is the 8th of June, right? That ballot drop was on the 7th of June. And this is LA County. So did those ballots actually get mailed on the 2nd of June? Because if they got mailed pretty much inside of LA County, you had the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, and they were finally voted on on the 6th of June, right? Hopefully. That's 4 days. That's 4 days after Election Day. Inside of the city, it should take a day for a letter to get from place to place inside that county. Totally, 2 days. We'll give them 2 days, right? What gives? What gives? How are they being postmarked so late, right? We have lots of answers to get, lots of questions to get answers for in that election, and the only way we're going to get it is an appeals court or even the Supreme Court forcing states to release their voter rolls, and then also negating the effect of mail-in ballots. All right. See, I told you I'm calm today. I'm my second iteration this morning because I'm telling you, if you need to go back and listen to the morning brief because I lost my composure. All right. And it came with part of this and this one. Let's see, which one do I want to do first? I'll do this one since it's part of the title. So yesterday, the president, in and out of the rain in Wisconsin, was interviewed by Kristen Welker from NBC News. All right. And it was a very contentious interview, and then it got out of control. And then the president said, "I'm done," and he left. Right. All right. So, hey, we're at 8:36. If you have not hit that like button for the episode today, please click the like button, please. Okay. And if you're not already followed, click that bell and then scroll down to the followed. Click follow, please. Okay. President Donald Trump abruptly ended a tense meet the press interview with Kristen Welker in Wisconsin Sunday after she repeatedly challenged his claims about election fraud, California's vote count, and his proposed anti-weaponization fund. She said something to the fact that's how they vote here in California. Really? Just because they do it like that doesn't mean it's legal or ethical. All right? Trump cut off the interview after accusing the mainstream media, that would be NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, of being crooked during the final exchange over the claims about U.S. elections. "You're a one-sided, crooked network," President Trump told Walker. "Sorry, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time." Then he accidentally stepped on his cordless mic. The exchange escalated during the final block when Walker pressed Trump on the proposed $1.8 billion fund intended to compensate people who they say were targeted by former President Joe Biden's administration, alleged weaponization of government. Walker asked Trump whether he was moving away from the fund after acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said the administration would not move forward with it. The problem is that fund is needed because there were people that were railroaded. There were people that were walking. They did nothing wrong. They were in prison, and they threw away the key on them, like no bail available. Seriously. Or they let them go and they put ankle bracelets on them. It's ridiculous how that stuff transpired. I was watching Vince a while ago. He was talking about some of the same stuff I was talking about, and he was showing videos from 2021 inside the Capitol building on January 6th, and the police were guiding the people through the hallways of the Capitol building. And against the wall, a glass wall, I saw six other park police or DC police or whatever. They were just standing there. It looked like they were talking to the protesters that were walking through the building like they were taking a tour. I'm not saying they were all good, but the vast majority, even the ones that got locked up, weren't bad at all. All right? The exchange escalated during the final block Okay, I said that. Walker asked whether he was okay. I already said that. Just to be clear, are you backing away from the fund completely as your acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has said, or are you looking for another avenue to revive the fund? Trump defended the proposal and said that people had been harmed by officials in the Biden administration. People have been hurt so badly by the radical left and lunatics that work for the Biden administration and Sleepy Joe. Trump said they're vicious, they're violent, what they did to people, and of course, they went after me more than anybody else. Walker pressed Trump on whether he still wanted to revive the proposal. So she said, are you still looking at a way to revive it? Trump said personally supported the idea, but acknowledged it would need approval. Okay, true. If it was up to me, I'd pay them the kind of money that they deserve. So me personally, I think the weaponization fund is a great idea, as do so many other Republicans. You have to get it approved. Okay, the votes count, right? Trump later broadened his remarks, accusing the press and President Biden officials of destroying people's lives. I love the idea because people like you, the fake dirty press, the crooked press, the people like stupid Biden, he's not smart enough to know what's going on. The people who surrounded him, surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office, and they did to the other lives, they destroyed people. Walker pushed back on Trump's claims, saying the president had no evidence. I guess she doesn't read the news. Where was that? Just to be clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying, Walker said. Trump rejected that. There's a lot of evidence, Trump said. Listen to me. There's tremendous evidence. There's nothing but evidence. Trump then repeated his claim that the 2020 election was rigged, and he connected it to California's ongoing vote count. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election, and it happened again right now in California. Trump pointed out the pace of California's vote count, which took over a month to certify the state elections. All I have to do is look, Trump said. They're the crooked just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked. Meet the press is crooked. Your elections are crooked. You're crooked. Meet the press is crooked, and so is ABC, CBS, and CNN. Before ending the interview, Walker attempted to keep the interview going, noting that NBC had traveled to Wisconsin for the sit-down. Mr. President, I traveled all this way to Wisconsin. Trump said he had already given Walker enough time. I sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough. You ought to straighten out your press, straighten you know what. A country can never be as great as a dishonest press. And it ended right there. Well, that's right. If you have a dishonest press, you have an uninformed, dishonest country, because everything will be one-sided, right? And that's on a public network. Okay, federal lawsuit seeks to block UFC Freedom 250 from being held at the White House South Lawn. Yes, that's right, the Octagon. They're trying to cancel out the Octagon, like they tried to cancel out the reflecting pool, like they tried to cancel out the White House ballroom. Well, pretty much they're doing it. They didn't do nothing about the Lincoln bathroom being remodeled over in the Lincoln bedroom. Uh, every single thing that president tries to do, they don't want to do it. That's why you're not seeing great fireworks displays planned for 3 weeks from now on the July 4th, because the Democrats, they hate our country and they will despise it until they get their way and we fall apart. Like my daughter said the other day, it's a uh, it's a silent Cold War. That's how, right? Um, so, two people from Virginia decided they want to file a lawsuit against the UFC holding the Octagon match in a week and a half from now. They waited this long. The thing's built, totally built. A federal lawsuit filed against the National Park Service and Department of Interior seeks an emergency injunction to stop the UFC fight event scheduled for the White House South Lawn. According to the lawsuit, organizers ignored federal permitting rules, skipped environmental reviews, and triggered conflict of interest statement concerns, because apparently even a UFC octagon in the White House lawn has a clear environmental hurdles. The event is being promoted as part of America's 250th birthday celebration, and yes, the plan is to stage a UFC card on the White House lawn. According to the uh, lawsuit, the problem started with hosting the fights in front of the executive mansion. The plaintiffs argue the White House South Lawn and nearby federal park property are subject to strict rules that generally prohibit commercial structures and private sporting events without environmental review and congressional approval. Organizers have repeatedly relied on specific exemptions tied to America's 250 organization celebrations. The lawsuit urges the UFC Freedom 250 is really a private, for-profit sporting event involving the UFC, broadcasters, sponsors, and advertisers rather than a legitimate government-run celebration. The complaint alleges that the event could financially benefit President Trump and several of his associates, including Dana White and Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison. It also points to Trump's reported purchase of up to $50 million of stock that is owned by TKO Group Holdings, a publicly traded transparent company to the UFC. Is it real or is it Memorex, right? Court filings argue that the event has less to do with commemorating American independence and more with promoting the UFC brand and celebrating Trump's 80th birthday. You can't even have a wrestling match on the White House South grounds. They did under some former presidents that did boxing and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Trying to stay calm, people. I'm trying to stay calm. Okay. And I already read that one. So Friday, reconciliation was passed in the Senate for $70 billion. We're finally going to have a fully funded fiscal year budget. But it's also December, January, March, April, May, June, 8 months late, right? And that would be the immigration enforcement package is the only part of the budget that has not been passed. All right. It finished at 42.57. I mean 52.47 the other day. It's gone to the House, and it says here it's supposed to be voted on this week, or it said next week. Hopefully, it'll be the day by unanimous consent, and they can actually have a fully funded government. They're already in, well, we're almost to July, so we're almost down to 90 days left to pass the budgets. And at the same time, those budgets are very reflective of how people vote, right? And it's also election time. So the counter is going to go from here down to about here, right? Let's make a joke out of it. Their staffers will be sitting in their congressional seats and actually giving testimony like senators and congressmen do. Okay, don't believe that. That's a joke. Okay, that's a bad joke. Bad joke. Now, next I got is CENTCOM. CENTCOM shot down 4 Iranian drones over the Strait of Hormuz this weekend. I do not know if they were going toward ships or what, but they were, or the United Arab Emirates. They could have been going that way too. All right. But yeah, CENTCOM shot them down, which is good. Let me see here. We got that one. We'll go with that. And this. Okay. So, who's been funding the left-wing groups that are doing the anti-ICE protest? Who's been doing that? Does anyone have a foggiest idea who's funding these people left and right? Where all these billions and billions of dollars are coming from, right? Because if you add it up over the last several years, it's in the billions. Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, I believe. The political committee of Democrat Senator Chris Murphy himself, well versed in the resistance talking points of ICE, is dedicated to resisting President Trump and has funded a prominent left-wing nonprofit that has been centered at the height of organized mass mobilization and anti-ICE protests around the country. Murphy's newly rebranded PAC, Political Action Committee, American Mobilization, donated $100,000 last year to Invisible, a progressive movement and organization formed to wake up Trump's first primary election in 2016 and dedicate to resisting the Trump agenda. Invisible says that it derives coordinated campaigns and powering the grassroots individual movements to defeat right-wing takeover American government, and it claims that an alliance of white nationalists, which have ultra-rich, have been actively working to further undermine the democracy. Invisible is in part of a network of left-wing organizations that have been at the center of various protests against Trump administration and being the lead organizer in No Kings rallies at anti-ICE protests to oppose U.S. military operations to capture Nicolas Maduro. All right, so man. Oh, yeah. So some of the partners in his network, including the People's Forum, funded by self-proclaimed Marxist Neville Singham. He lives in China, not in the United States, but he does a lot of influence here in the United States under Code Pink, right? but he's drawn scrutiny from lawmakers and alleged foreign ties, especially China and Cuba, as well as possible violations of nonprofit laws. The organization has been responsible for organizing the most prominent demonstrations of the Trump administration. Just the News previously called on the subpoena treating Singham. Murphy's PAC has also started with organizations that provide legal representation to illegal immigrants in both Texas and Minnesota. Both states have been rocked by anti-ICE protests and alleged left-wing anarchist activity targeting immigration facilities. The American Mobilization PAC did not respond to a request from a comment from Just the News. All right. Man, it is already 8:55. Oh my goodness. What do y'all think about that? A sitting U.S. senator has a PAC that is openly funding the activities of these anti-ICE protests around the country. And No Kings protests, which is the same thing almost. Let me get my screen ready here. Got to get ready for my what do you call it, raid. Okay, I'm ready for it. Next. This one I got a few days ago. I just want to let you know there are over 1,200 faculty members from the University of California education system. They signed an open letter requesting that the state leadership for that school board reinstate SAT and ACT tests to all incoming freshmen. That is because 70% of incoming freshmen cannot do middle school math totally at all, right? They should be able to do pre-algebra. They should be able to do algebra at the minimum if they're going to a high pollutant school. All right, but so he says, consequently, more than 1,000 colleges and universities across the United States eliminated the SAT and ACT. However, it is crucial to recognize that the real causes of racial disparities is test scores not lying with the test. That's right. For leftists, however, it is much easier to scapegoat standardized testing than deal with the real problem: parents abandoning their duties in the broken K-12 school system. Unbelievable. It's already 8:58. I'm going to stop there. I'll pick that back up tomorrow. That's important for you to know because our kids' education is vastly, vastly important to the success of our country later on. Okay, in terms of announcements, tomorrow we have, let me get this set. Tomorrow, the Coppers Cove Conservative Club in Coppers Cove. We will be meeting at 6 p.m. At Giovanni's in Coppers Cove, right, for 2 hours. Come on out, like-minded people. We're looking for more Republicans. All right. Next, June 18th in Killeen at Area 254. If you're from Killeen or Harker Heights or even Coppers Cove, you know where Area 254 is. All right. It's over by Urban Air. Okay. Just so you know. All right. Oh, no, it's not. It's off of, you get off of 4th Street. You go under the underpass, like you go into where Kmart used to be, where Raising Cane's is. It's in that shopping center right there, 6 p.m. All right. Back to my camera, transition. We're at 8:59. And don't forget, the Texas GOP convention starts at on Wednesday. Technically on Wednesday, but officially on on the 11th to the 13th in Houston. Please go if you're able to attend also. All right. So that is the JP8 report for today. I'm going to do the raid. It's already 9 o'clock. So I will check y'all later. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I am out. And I just confirmed the raid to the Dan Bongino report, Dan Bongino show. So I'm going to go watch it. You watch it. Let's have some fun. I'm out.